This happened to my ex-wife and I. It was during the summer when my family decided that we should all take a trip to Mexico to visit family. I was about to join the Marine Corps, and so my mother wanted for me to go see my family just in case something bad would happen. At the time, I was with my pregnant girlfriend, who would later become my wife and then ex-wife. Since she was pregnant, I didn't want to leave her alone, so I bought her a ticket so that she could go as well. Her being Caucasian with blonde hair and hazel eyes made everyone around my grandma's house curious, and a lot of our extended family came by to see the beautiful American girl. After greeting everyone, we all started to talk about what had been going on since we had left. My girlfriend was sitting next to me, having me translate parts of the conversation. One of my aunts, who knew that I was into the paranormal, brought up the subject of the Wailing woman. My mum quickly told my aunt to shut up since she knew that it could get me both interested and scared regarding it. But I was able to push my aunt to keep going on. I mean, I was going to be a Marine after all, and I couldn't let a silly little myth scare me, right? She proceeded to tell us about how whenever she went to sleep over at my grandma's house, at which we were currently at, if she stayed up late enough, she would be able to hear her wails. The wails of the Wailing woman, that is. My mum rolled her eyes and jokingly pushed my aunt. The subject died from there since one of my other aunts started to talk about her son and whatnot. Seeing how serious everyone had gotten for a brief moment, though, my girlfriend nudged me and asked what we were talking about. I told her the myth of the Wailing woman, about how she drowned her children in a river and was destined to walk along all the rivers of Mexico looking for her dead children. She, of course, laughed, not really buying any of my paranormal stories. That night, my parents decided that my girlfriend and we should stay at our old house where I had grown up since we were both adults and needed our own space. The house was currently being worked on, so the bedrooms had no doors or working lights. The only doors the house had were the ones that led into the outside. They were fairly new, but they were your standard metal flimsy doors that a kick or a punch could make it rattle throughout the house. Inside, we had to use a candle and a flashlight for a light source. I remember we even used a bedsheet as a temporary door to give our room a little bit more privacy, even though it was only us two in the house. As the night went on, my girlfriend and I stayed up talking, and eventually we both fell asleep. I don't know at what time exactly, but something woke me up. I didn't have a cell phone, and my watch at the time was really cheap, so I wasn't able to tell what time it was. Looking down, I realized that my girlfriend had stolen the covers, so I slowly tried to steal some back. As I was debating on closing the window that was located right above our heads, I heard a long wail. It was a long, distorted wail, but I could hear the old raspiness in her voice, and it was a woman, and it sounded as if she was yelling for such a long time that her throat was getting ready to give out. But what confused me was that her wail sounded like as if it was being played through an old gramophone or something. I don't know if it was the scratchiness of her voice or what exactly, but it sounded like an old creepy record playing over and over. She was wailing her trademark, "Oh my children." That wail was what made her infamous, not just in the paranormal community, but with most people living in the rural parts of Mexico. My girlfriend started to stir and woke up, and I don't remember if I woke her up on purpose, but either way, it was kind of a dick move of me since she also got to hear the wails. I was both excited and scared shitless at the same time. A cold chill traveling down my spine just reinforced my fear. But the wails grew louder, making it seem as if she was slowly heading towards us. My girlfriend asked me with a half smile, "What the hell is that?" thinking that I'd asked my aunts to scare us or something. I just motioned for her to be quiet and listen, and hearing my tone, she knew that something was wrong. Another loud wail passed by, echoing inside the house. My girlfriend started shaking, terrified of what could be outside of her house. I had left my arm under her head, and I could now feel tears running down from her face to my arm. Each time the wail came, she would shake a little, and at the same time, I would hold her close. The wails eventually came to a peak when it sounded like she was just outside of our window. And doing the only brave thing that I knew, I pulled the covers over us and tried to remain as still as we could. The wails eventually faded out, and just as we thought that she had gone, we heard two wild dogs viciously fighting and slamming against our outside door. My girlfriend had grown attached to this stray dog that used to walk around my grandma's farm. So, while we were staying there, he would always sleep on the outside door to wait for us and greet us whenever we would come out. The dogs, or at least what we thought were the dogs, fought for a good minute, slamming against the door and snarling and barking at one another. Then, as sudden as the fight had started, it just stopped. We attempted to stay up for a while longer to see if we heard anything else, but eventually sleep took over us. The following morning, we talked about what had happened, and we walked outside to meet our stray dog, but he was gone. All that was left was stirred up dirt from the fight that had happened the night before. We never got to see the dog the rest of the trip too, and he would usually come around, but we just told ourselves that maybe he found a place with better owners who could feed him better or something. This all happened around 2008, and still to today, whenever I pick up my daughter, I would ask my ex about what happened in Mexico, but she doesn't like talking about it. I haven't been to Mexico ever since then, and I don't want to start anything political, but California was a part of Mexico at one time, and there have been rumors that some people around the southern part have heard the wails of a woman.